I was on a corridor and I saw my body from above. And I saw the doctors say, "We're losing her." And so I realized, oh my God, I must be dead. It's not dramatic at all what I felt. It was just like the same way I'm here with you, except that my body was down there and I was up here. Hello, I'm Sandra Muller, and I am today so happy to be with Trey on Your Superior Self.
Sandra, I too am very happy that you're here. Channeler, crystal healer, and shamanic practitioner, and a channeler of the Council of A.R. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's very early where you're at. So, again, thank you, Sandra.
I'm thrilled. It's me who thanks you for this beautiful opportunity. I'm so happy to be with you, and I
Hmm.
look forward to whatever is going to happen in the next few minutes.
Who knows what's going to happen? I don't even know, really. Um, Very interested in your backstory. Like, how did you come to be a channeler, a shaman? I know your background is in uh, jewelry, right?
Right.
So how did this come
Well,
to be? How did this perfect picture form?
Um, perfect. That's funny. I never see it as perfect, but um, I was born in Chile. I grew up in Switzerland, and then I decided at 15 years old that I wanted to be a jeweler. I have no idea where that came from in Switzerland in that time in the 1975, 76. It wasn't very common. So I decided I was going to study gemology, which was really not common at all. I had two choices. I was going to be a cemetery decorator or a jeweler. And my family was completely like, freaking out. They wanted me to be a jeweler, but I realized that both of those things are going to play an important part in my life later on, like today, because I do work with death and dying. So I was interested in nature, in the mineralogy, in the crystals, in the power of crystals and gems, and in the magic of life and death from a very early age. So I came to California in 1980 to study gemology, which I loved, but it wasn't really my true path. I knew it. Working in a laboratory, looking and grading gems was not my thing. So I started making jewelry that I used crystals and gems for the power of the gems from very, very early on. I wasn't interested in the price of the gem or the quality, more like the power. So this also relates to what I do today. So the zigzag from that to becoming a channeler, I had to go through hardships, all kinds. It's not a road that is flat and beautiful and easy. I had to go through a lot of health issues, and restoring my health every time brought me a lot of teachings. I had melanoma at 28, then a pulmonary embolism at, I don't know, 48, I think I was, with a near-death experience at that time here in Los Angeles at a big hospital at Cedars. I was going for a surgery that, because I had a pulmonary embolism that was so severe, I had already had a surgery to try to disintegrate the blood clot the day before. But on Sundays, when you land at a hospital on a Sunday, everybody knows that not all doctors are there. So the first surgery did not work. And the next day on Monday, and the doctors came to tell me that they were going to have to amputate my left leg because with a blood clot, sometimes your limbs, don't have any more circulation. And for you to stay alive, that was the only option. So, okay, I wasn't in my right mind anyways because I was under so much drugs. But I signed for that, and going to that amputation surgery, I was on a corridor and I saw my body from above. And I saw the doctors say, "We're losing her." And I heard that. And so I realized, oh my God, I must be dead. So yeah, I even sweared. I remember I said, "Shit, I'm dead. I can't believe this is death," And it was so interesting because it's not dramatic at all what I felt. It was just like me thinking the same way I'm here with you, except that my body was down there and I was up here. So I had enough guts to call God in a way that is very American, which is 911. I said very quickly, 911 God, 911 God. And I said, I can't die. My doggy, who's going to take care of my doggy? And it was funny because in that moment, I didn't think, my career or nothing. It was just my dog because that was my strongest connection of love. And I promised that if I was getting more time, I would do charity, which I used that word. And it was a very interesting word for me to use because I was really living the American dream, but I was on the hamster wheel, so there was not really a lot of time for charity. I was I had a crazy life. I had a jewelry store, I had employees, I had a lot of overhead, a lot of stress. So for me to promise to God that I was going to do charity, it blew my mind when I said it. And all of this, of course, is not even seconds. The next thing is that I woke up from the surgery and the doctor came to tell me they had saved my legs and they had saved my life. So it took a long time to recover and all that, but I was a different person from that on. I knew I had promised to do charity. For me, it meant that I was having a second chance in life and I was going to not do the same thing. And I was going to transform my life in order to serve, to be there for others instead of always, being there for me, trying to gather more stability, more security, more finances. All of that I had gathered during the years of working as a jeweler in Beverly Hills, I had to spend now for my recovery because it took a year and a half of recovering from an embolism. It's it's all cardiac stuff and lots of surgeries. So that taught me a lesson as well, that, you gather, then you get sick, and then everything that you thought was going to be your safety is now just for life, for maintaining life. And so there was a lot of lessons there. So I moved to Topanga at that time in the canyons in the Santa Monica Mountains because I needed nature. And that was the best decision I ever made. Because when I could be in a place that was very simple, but I could hear the owls hoot at night, I could hear the coyotes, I could wake up and have my little friends, the hummingbirds. It brought nature into my life in a real way, not just, it really taught me a lot. And so I thought I was doing really well, and I started making jewelry again, and then cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016. So that was again a big challenge. And I thought, why? I'm eating organic, I'm hiking, I live in the Santa Monica Mountains, I hardly have any stress. So that proved to me that there was something else going on that has nothing to do with stress, that I didn't have that excuse anymore. So it was about trauma, about healing something very deep inside. So I had already a shaman in Topanga called Amanda Folger. She's an amazing lady with a lot of experience. So I continued to go to her and we asked a lot of questions because in shamanism, we believe that everything has a soul. So a cancer cell would have a soul as well. So I wasn't a practitioner of shamanism at that time yet. She asked those souls, why would they go in my body and what was the lesson and what was the medicine for me? And it was quite amazing what happened. She told me that the message she had gotten from the spirits was this was not going to kill me, that this was going to bring me so much learning, so many teachings that I was going to be able to help other people and that I was going to find solutions for regaining my health. And they also said, we want you to dance the happy dance, get up and thank the universe and thank those cells for coming, for so much learning, so much teaching. And I thought that was so crazy. Because think about it, a week ago, I had been with oncologists telling me, if you don't do this and if you don't do that, you have 3 months to live and blah, blah, blah. And then I dive into shamanism to talk to the cells, and they're like, yay, celebrate this. This is going to be an amazing journey. And so I did dance the happy dance in celebration for these cells. And I never called them cancer anymore. I called them a bugger, something from the outside that was bugging me. Like I imagined a big insect or something. And I did go through traditional medicine, and then I switched to homeopathy and quantum medicine so that I could get my organs back alive. I mean, it is important to understand that when we take something that kills cells, it's also killing the good ones. So it took a lot of work. And then it took a lot of thinking. What was this all about? And this shaman, Amanda, kept on saying, you have got to study shamanism because every time I do a journey and I work on your body, the minute you hear the drum, you just take off in your own journeys, and your own journeys are so powerful. There's so much medicine there. There's so much teaching. I had all kinds of visions. I had a condor come and rip my breast and throw all the tumors away and spit them. And I had all these crazy visions without ever having studied shamanism. So I agreed to study. And when I took my first training with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies out of San Francisco, I realized that that was the fit. I had studied crystal healing, I had studied energy healing, pendulum, all kinds of things. I had always meditated since I was 18 years old. I had found a teacher in California called Prem Rawat, and he taught me this amazing meditation that I still do every day. And it takes an hour, and it's very powerful. It restores it makes you understand it's not about mantras or anything like that. It just makes you feel where you're at and receive. So that has been a very important part of my life. And then I started practicing shamanism every day. When I practiced, we started going on COVID time. I was stuck in Chile, in my country, And I was staying at a friend's house, at a cousin's house, and we had nothing to do, right? We didn't know how long it was going to take. We were all stuck in wherever we happened to be. And I happened to have my crystals with me, my collection of crystals for crystal healing. So I thought, well, I'll work on the crystals every day. And so I would choose one crystal and get in a shamanic trance with the drum. And I would just very innocently ask it, you know, do you have a message for me? And the automatic writing that I had studied, but that had never worked when I studied it, the automatic writing just started like crazy. And so I got really interested in talking to all my crystals, and I thought I was going to make a book with all these, you know, new information that these crystals wanted to give. And then that didn't happen. That book didn't happen because I came back to America. Then I flew to Switzerland to get homeopathic treatments. And the next times that I was journeying, the spirit started saying, you're going to write a book. And that's when the book, Crystal Clear Joy, happened. So that was, you have a copy there. Um, that was a really powerful thing for me because I'm dyslexic, definitely not an author, definitely not good with words. And then my helping spirits wanted me to channel that book. So I allowed it. It was winter, it was cold in Switzerland. There was absolutely like so much focus on the book. Every day I would just go and say, do you have a message for me? And so the Council of A.R., who I channel, that's how I started channeling, is a group of helping spirits that gave the name A.R. for Altus Reciproximity. So proximity is to bring back, and altus, you know, in Latin would be above. So to re-bring back all these understanding this energy of the above or below. So it feels like what the name they gave themselves represented like not a specific entity, not a specific spirit. It was the energy of everything, of life force, of the universe. So with time, they started calling it the universal creative intelligence. So we would refer to that as energy, God, whatever. So they started explaining me that because I see them in different forms and shapes. In shamanism, we tend to have our own spirits when we work shamanically. And I see them with their faces and their different, you know, physical bodies and attires. But when I work with them, they merge as one force. And so that was very interesting. And the live channeling was a process. It was a process from automatic writing to suddenly them saying, okay, now drop the pen, take your phone and record it. Everything was awkward at the beginning, you know, to hear my voice talking was awkward, but I got used to that. And then it was like, now you're going to do it live. So it was a process. I never took a course. I was never trained to become a channeler. And I had taken a energy class with a very powerful healer in Switzerland. And I had asked her because she channels the angels. And I had asked her, you know, how can I learn to channel? That was like 2-3 years before. And she said, oh my God, no, you can't learn to channel. It just happens. And there's like lightning and your body is like dead. And it was all this drama that she had experienced before becoming a channeler. And I thought, well, that's it for that. I'll never be a channeler because I don't really want to be hit by lightning, or I've had enough drama. So it didn't have to be like that. I think the heart is available, your intention is open, for being at service to others. That's the most important thing that I learned that shamanism clarified for me. So when I don't consider myself a shaman, I just want to say I consider myself somebody who practices shamanism. So a shaman is a really big title. I don't know if I deserve that title. It's only other people that could say that about me. But if the work has helped them, then they could say that. But I must tell you that channeling is my favorite. It just is. I love doing healings. They're very powerful. They do include a lot of channeling for the person, private messages and all that. But that energy coming through the body and the feeling of completely stepping out of your body and allowing that force, that life force, that creative, universal creative intelligence coming through my body is just mesmerizing. So that has been a real gift, and a gift that I treasure. I always hope that I can continue. It's not a given, you know. It's
Sure.
not. Shamanism teaches you a lot about ethics as well, you know, what are the universal laws and how to stay humble and how to help others, but within that humbleness, knowing that I don't have any power, clarifying that, you know, it's the power of these helping spirits, the power of the universe that wants to help and heal each human being that asks for help and healing, because we have free will.
Sure.
So that was a long
So many
answer.
questions I have for you right now.
Oh, that was a really long answer. I'm
Oh, it's all
sorry.
right. It is perfect, though. I mean, we joke about what is perfection, but ultimately, I mean, what is more perfect than that journey to get you where you're at right now? I mean, man, it's so amazing. So, my first question is, so you were going into surgery to amputate a leg, right? Did that ever happen?
No, they saved
No,
my
they
leg.
saved your
Thank
leg.
God. Yeah. You know what was so crazy is that after the whole journey, being in the hospital a month and a half and all that to recover, because they had another surgery of putting an umbrella in the heart. I mean, it was like so intense. I wanted to meet the surgeon that had given me this second chance. His name is Mark Friedman, and a radiologist. So I asked to meet him and I brought him a gift. And I wanted to ask him what happened, because I was supposed to go to an amputation and I ended up in a radiology, you know, pavilion, which is totally different. And he saved my life. And he said that on Monday morning, when he arrived at the hospital at 7 a.m., he heard the story of this woman that was half dead, half alive, and he said, well, she's half dead anyways. Let me try it. You know, he told me he had like to do it. And he pushed and shoved around until they changed my to a radiology room, and it worked. And so he was amazed. So for me, there was a little miracle there.
Sure.
And the miracle was because, and I remember that feeling of having talked to God and said, I promise, but I really meant it. I will do charity if I get more time. And when I said that, it changed everything, all the circumstances in the physical world, in the hospital. So that is, yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I forget to give that detail.
No worries. That's why I'm
There's a
here.
lot of magic. Yeah,
You-
there's magic in our lives, you know?
So going back to your out of body near death experience, you prayed, you realized that you were dying. You said a quick prayer to God. Did you see any beings? Did
No,
you pass through any tunnels? Did you when you
no,
asked help from God,
mm-mm,
when you prayed to God, did you hear a voice?
no.
No.
It was a knowing, you know? It wasn't an entity or lights or anything. It was a knowing. It's very similar to doing the shamanic work. It's like there's a point where you know you're talking to a spirit. There's a simple knowing that we can reach as human beings, inside, outside, I don't know where it is, that connects us. And that's the most beautiful, beautiful part of shamanism that I am discovering through the messages that the Council of A.R. are giving, that they want us to learn how to connect individually, like not going through somebody else. Because each one of us is kind of a computer, and we're set up to do this. So the fact that we're not doing it is because we are missing out on 80% or 90% of our potential, of the possibility that we all have. But it does take intention first, focus, lots of focus. You can't be too scattered. And you have to put on a straight intention from the heart. That's what I learned from them. When it's all in the head, and you think you want to do it and all that, it's different that when you bring it to the heart and you know that you're capable. And then there's that connection. I mean, I like the word God. Some people, freak out. It's the reverse of dog. I think that's what I'm attached to that word, but it is energy. But we're all capable, except that we're so scattered with so much stress and so many needs on the outside that we don't really connect enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, let me ask you this
recently,
really quick, right? And
yes,
this is a beautiful, beautiful, you're getting ready, I can just feel it. A beautiful answer is brewing. When you connect with that, right? When you connect with that consciousness, does it change the body at all? Does it
yes,
so I'm thinking
yes.
of like hardware,
I'm
software.
having I'm having goosebumps right now.
Yeah. So how does it change the body? Does it like upgrade at all the DNA, the cellular structure, the membranes, the neurons in the brain? Like what does it
All
look
of
like?
it,
All of it.
all of it, all of it. That's the transformation. All of
Wow.
it. It's from the inside out. That's where you get your health. That's where you get your clarity. That's where the connection. I mean, I'm learning. I don't have all the answers. I'm on the same path as you are. But my feeling is that when the deeper I get, the more I allow, with a simple heart, with a true heart, with a simple heart, not filled with ideas that I want this or I want that. I just want to receive more knowledge, more know-how. I feel that our bodies, oh my God, we don't even know a little tiny bit of what we can do, of the potential,
Is
you
it a
know,
knowing? Like, is it a knowing or is it like a remembering? If you like,
both.
like if I feel
Yeah,
like as you connect with that consciousness, that energy, you get
totally.
downloads, you get information, you get more
Oh,
awareness,
like more
and
goosebumps.
it
Every time you say
expands.
something true, my
Yeah.
body reacts with goosebumps. It's
You're
something I've
the
always had.
you're the human lie detector. So as you expand the aperture of your consciousness, you remember, you gain more, you remember knowledge, a knowing, and it expands you as a human being to receive more. I feel like more so now than ever, I feel like there's so many battles over the mind, especially in society, with trying to get our attention, through TV, social media, um, politics, everything that's going on, that we forget who we are. It's like a battle of the mind. It's a
Yeah,
universal, not universal battle, maybe like a global battle that it suppresses our knowledge, our
yeah.
self-knowledge, our self-realization. And the
I
more
think
that
the
you
word you
connect,
use is the correct one. It suppresses it. So let me tell you what happened the other day. I was having a simple conversation with a friend of mine, and she's a trained therapist and she's not shamanically trained, but it's very similar to shamanism. And she wanted to work on me, she didn't understand that I would get in trance immediately because my brain is very open to trance. So she just started talking, you know, breathe and this and that, and just the sound of her voice got me in trance. And what I saw was amazing. She asked me, what are you seeing? I saw a big rock, like a huge boulder, and she was clever enough to tell me, look what's underneath this big rock. And I pushed the rock out, and it was the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh, you know, the cross with the round top, the Ankh, and it was golden. And she asked me to go on and explain, you know, to her what was the Ankh. She wasn't familiar with it. And I was so entranced. I was already like, you know, channeling the Council of A.R. And they explained that the Ankh was that life force, that connection to that magic, to that light, to that possibility that has been there since the times, you know, the earliest times. And the rock was covering, suppressing, you use that word, you know, that light. It gives me goosebumps because it was such an incredible symbol. And so she asked, she was clever, she says, tell me what the rock represents. And she thought I was going to answer through channeling. That was my subconscious, not at all. The spirits answered, that rock is everything you're living, the wars, the negativity, the toxicity, the lack of clarity, the lack of connection to source, all the anger, everything that is happening in politics, everything, they define that as that rock that was suppressing that beautiful, golden, powerful light represented in the symbol of the Ankh. So a lot to think about, you know? So we
Sure.
need to lift that rock
Well,
and allow that light.
was your near death that rock for you? Like to
No,
lift it? No? Was it
I don't
the
think so.
was it
I
the
think
journey, like the shamanic journeys that you took that kind of lifted that rock? Or was it, I mean, was
it's
the rock lifted all at once, or was it like a
no, no,
gradual?
no. Yeah, I wish that would be amazing if we could just lift our rock, you know, that is suppressing us from being totally I think it's in the journey.
Mhm.
It's not, you know, the rock means that you have to lift it, so you have to put the effort also.
Sure.
Doesn't that make sense?
No, it makes
And
total
it's
sense.
every day because that,
Self-liberation,
right. We
right?
have to do that focus. Uh, you know, there's so much. I mean, we could be here talking for 24
For
hours because
days.
it's, I know it's such a beautiful, you know, to share this. It's so powerful. We're human beings, but we are not really this body, right? We know that. We're the soul that is eternal, that comes into a vessel to have an experience in this wonderful earth school. So we think of ourselves as you, Trey, me, Sandra, but that's not the reality. It should be the soul and my soul, and then the body is like less important than the soul. But I think we have it the other way around, where we think we are the body and then the soul happens to be in. So when you empower your soul, and in shamanism, we say to make the soul strong. That's the work of shamanism. Is really the ultimate work is to make your soul strong, stronger than the body
Hmm.
to that point. And when that soul is strong, then that soul, which is really the life force and the power, because that soul is connected to universe, you know, the body is not connected to universe. It's our spirit, our soul. And when that soul is really at its full potential, then you tell the body what you want the body to do. You tell your cells that you want health. You can order them. So recently, I think I sent you that channeling about the water, about how to drink the water. That is so powerful for me to understand that what the Council of AR said is that we are 90% or 95% water. So when we have anxiety, because this water imprinted the anxiety from outside, from the TV, from the news, from the conversation you had with a friend, that 95% water inside of us is listening to everything. And we know that water can imprint information. We already know this, right? So when the water is listening to the news and to the darkness and to this, and it creates immediate anxiety in our bodies, then we take a glass of water and we imprint in that water with our intention, with our hands, with our focus, the new information that we want ourselves to receive. And they gave a whole dialogue of, I don't know if you remember, it was very beautiful, but we can make it a very simple dialogue of just saying, you are healthy, you are complete, you are enough, you are, all those things, and then you drink the water. So you're giving your water, 90% water, new information.
Sure. No, I agree
And
with that 100%. I do that every morning.
isn't it
I say
beautiful?
affirmations into a cup of water
Wow.
to connect with that, right? Like to your
Yeah.
point, there have been scientific studies, and I'm
Yeah.
forgetting the guy's name,
Yeah.
where
A Japanese,
yeah, Japanese
Emoto something.
scientist
Yeah.
set intentions with glasses of water, and the molecules were totally different from the
Yeah.
positive and the negative. So
But we
I
are
was,
water.
yeah,
That's
well,
the
that's the
that's the
thing.
beauty.
We are,
I hadn't thought of that. I was looking at his work like in awe, but I forgot. That's what the spirits explain. That's what you are too, you
sure. So
know?
you're water, you're a bottle, or you're a glass of water, and whatever environment you surround yourself with, it is essentially programming you with
Yeah.
either negative or positive energy. Again, I'm not trying to create duality. However, I think you need to have awareness of that so that way you can
Yes.
fully be conscious of that and set a new attention for yourself. I do that every
Absolutely.
morning to start my day off to really connect with myself in that water that is me in this body to tune it to a more positive direction for the
Absolutely.
morning. And what I find is so brilliant is the energy I set the tone with, right? It just feeds into everything else, right? I'm not saying you're going to have a perfect morning every morning if you do that, but it definitely gives you an advantage.
Yeah. It changes your day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're channeling, ah, man, there's just so much here. Um, what did that do to you, right? Like your near death experience. What was your what was your background like? What was your religious beliefs? Was there any dogma that was instantly deconstructed when you had this out of body experience? Um,
No.
no, so
No,
like,
because I was a meditator since I was, 18. So I had gotten used to feeling, to 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 taking some time to just go inside and just feel and just, like almost like filled up your cup of nectar through the meditation. And then during the day, you can sip that nectar. So
mhm,
that was what my teacher taught me. So it wasn't religious. I mean, I grew up as a Catholic, right? Because I'm from Chile and all that. So my family is a Catholic. And I love every single Jesus, Buddha, you name it. I'm open to all of them,
all of them.
all of them, because for me, it's that love, it's that energy. Um, I can see that there's so many people even alive today that bring us that energy. They don't need to be perfect masters. They don't need to be. We are in need of that clarity so we can help each other. We've become the self-healers now. We've been upgraded from a time where we needed a figure, a religious figure to help us connect, and now we are different. We're living something different where we're learning that we can connect directly. that you and I can upgrade each other by having this conversation, you know,
Sure.
because we're just remembering things by having this conversation. We're just inspiring each other to be more open to allow more. And I think, yeah, it's getting better and better and better. The road of the daily stuff is tough because I'd like to be, you know, floating all day long. So I'd like to
Who
be,
doesn't?
yeah,
Who
who
doesn't like that?
doesn't, right?
But I mean, you got to
So,
go into the darkness, right? Like, I mean, there is, it's like operant conditioning where, based off of conditioning, especially with the body of like, rewards and punishments, like no one wants to go towards the punishment, right? But it's like, going back, feeling that catharsis in that moment of trauma, going back and sitting in that, allows us to integrate, a lot of that light into the darkness to create our
yes,
own healing. I think that's so important because people want to run away from the not so feel good moments in our lives because it
yeah.
creates this neuroses, or it creates these
Hmm.
anxieties that we tend to either numb through alcohol or drugs
Hmm.
or disassociation. And it's about taking all of that and integrating it to where you're at instead of
Yeah,
running from it. And then
I
that
agree.
creates the healing. It clears that energy. It allows you to be more aware and conscious of like why that took place in the first place, really, right? I mean, I'm sure you see
What
that.
medicine? Yeah, what medicine is this problem? What is the medicine that this problem can bring me? Like when I was diagnosed with cancer, I remember asking the universe, what am I going to learn from this? What's good in this situation that I'm not capable of understanding right now, the day of the diagnosis, but what can it bring? What is the medicine? And it did answer. It did tell me, because when we ask questions to the universe, you know, we get answers. That's clear. It did tell me you're going to get stronger.
Wow, that's so
You're gonna
powerful.
get stronger. And yeah, before you take the glass of wine to numb it, as you said, or the beer, whatever, ask the universe, is there something good in this situation? You know, so we reverse the the glass half empty to half full, and we ask, and then we don't need the to numb it anymore because we're excited that this negative, you know, we live in a world of duality, right? The spirits explain that in the book very clearly. There,
Sure.
there is no learning in utopia.
Mhm.
Utopia is just the wonderful seconds that you have to just contemplate and breathe and be in awe. But the learning, we do it through the duality.
Sure.
So,
Well, going back to medicine and shamanism, like I always associate or correlate shamanism and journeying to like psychedelics, right? Like,
us,
do you have you taken psychedelics or anything is related to
I
that in a
have,
shamanic journey?
I have taken it. I did not have a good experience. I prefer the drum or the rattles or the sound. It's at a specific rhythm that my brain associates with very easily. It's very natural to learn it also. And it gets in trance in a few seconds. So I don't need the psychedelics. I'm sure there's wonderful medicine there, but I like to be fully present, to be able to ask questions the minute I connect with my helping spirits. I want to have the full experience of understanding something, bringing healing back to the person who needs it. I need to be very focused, you know?
Sure.
So psychedelics is a whole different world than working with the drum, with the sonic sound of the drum.
So,
It's the traditional way of medicine man, and there's very few parts of the world that use psychedelics, you know, South America, Mexico, but most of the shamanism has always used the sound of the drum.
so does the shaman, does your shaman that was your teacher, does that person ever use psychedelics or ayahuasca and facilitate a journey, or is it always the drum?
It's always the drum. We work when you study with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, that was put together by Michael Harner through 30, 40, 50 years of anthropology studies all over the world. You know, he lived in with all the different tribes, and he realized that we can do everything with just the trance through the sonic sound, through the drum. And it is safer for everybody because, let's say, me as a person who has had cardiac problems and all that, it's not a good thing for my body on the physical level to take ayahuasca, because there is some, I've gone through chemotherapy, and people that take antidepressants, I would never recommend it. And also there's another part of it that, if you want, I can explain. The the world of spirits, okay, we live in the middle world, and there's the upper world and the lower world when we travel shamanically. And you and I are living in the middle world. And when you cross the veil, you enter the world of the spirits. And if you don't know who to associate with and where to go safely, you might encounter spirits that are not evolved, that are not compassionate, highly evolved spirits that could use your beautiful light energy to, if you want, possess you. And I know a lot of cases where that has happened through ayahuasca mushrooms, and it is not easy for the person. It can bring you a very negative experience. So the caution behind what is your decision of doing, medicine, plant medicine, you need to really learn about the good and the bad side of plant medicine. And then you need to do it if the plant calls you, if the medicine of ayahuasca calls your heart, then go to the right place. Go to the selva in my country and in Peru, and do it with really the traditional way, where you have the dieta for a month, where you eat certain foods, where you cut the ayahuasca yourself with the shaman, where you prepare your soul, where you're really prepared, not as a fun thing to do Saturday night. So that's my point of view.
So in the two different realms that you're talking about, the higher and lower, there are spirits in the higher. I'm
Mhm.
assuming that the Council of AR are in the higher. How do you discern, right? Like if you're connecting with that higher entity or higher council?
The upper world and the lower world are connected shamanically. Okay, so I may find my ancestor spirits in the lower world, my power animals in the lower world, the Council of AR in the upper world, but it's all connected. So when you get trained at the very beginning shamanically to do these journeys, you learn the pathways, and you learn to to see these spirits that have been with you always. So it's like a remembrance of seeing them again. It doesn't feel like something new. Funnily enough, one of my main spirits, when I asked her for her name, she gave me the name that I had received 10 years before, using a pendulum at 3 a.m. one day, playing with the alphabet with a pendulum. I asked, what is the name of my guide? And I got this really ancient, really strange name that I started using in my passcodes. And then when I met her shamanically the first time, I said, what is your name? And that was the name. And it was amazing, because I thought, wow, you're revealing yourself more to me. But we don't come here alone. It would be very hard for a human being to be born and not have protection. You can call them angels, guides, helping spirits, whatever you want. But a human being, you've seen your babies, they don't come alone. You
Mhm.
have kids, there is that protection that comes with the incarnation. We come as a baby, we incarnate back here to work some more, and we're fully protected and guarded, but we develop that relationship more when we train shamanically, because we get a chance to see them and to experience them. And I work always with the same spirits. And if they want to introduce me to a new spirit, a new ally, if you want, I would trust their judgment. But I don't go around in the spirit world just, that's the beauty of getting trained shamanically, is that you learn to navigate the spirit world, before you do it, so that you're totally safe.
Mhm. So you've created a map almost for yourself.
There is a map,
There is one
absolutely.
map, or is there your map?
Every shaman starts seeing their own map.
So you have
And
your, so let me ask you this, right? So you said there
individual, yeah,
individually, okay, so it's a subjective
yeah,
map of the,
absolutely. I mean, look how unique you are. I am, even our fingerprints, everything. You could have a twin and you won't look like your twin. And so that is as unique as these set of helping spirits that are here to guide you. I mean, we've all had these experiences where we almost had an accident by seconds. We were saved by something. So that something, what is that something? That's a good question for you to ask when you're in meditation. And I think we don't need to study shamanism to connect with our guides. We just need to have a clear intention. I I connected with that guide through the pendulum, many years ago, a night that I couldn't sleep. There's many ways, but you need to be safe in the spirit world or spirit realm,
sure.
because, okay, let me explain you why. I think you would be interested in this. When a person has an addiction in this reality of planet Earth, highly addicted, or when a person dies very quickly in a bike accident or something very young, or a kid gets run over, that soul might be confused that it died because it wasn't really prepared death, like a long journey to death. So that soul lingers most of the time in this plane. And we need to help it. That's shamanically what we do also, to help to escort that soul to where they could have a beautiful, continuation of that soul's journey, not in this plane. So here we're talking, we call them ghosts, but we in shamanism we like to call them lost souls. They're lost in this plane. So if you end up getting very drunk at a bar, then a soul that was very, that liked alcohol and that is in this plane will piggyback on you because your soul is not strong enough. So that's why we like to make the soul strong, so that you're sealed from any entity being able to penetrate you and use your light, although they don't get much of it because they've already, separated from the body, but they're trying. So that's possession, depossession,
Mhm.
when so, and it can really affect your life to have these holes that entities can come in and out. It affects you into having more accidents, falling down the stairs, being depressed, lack of energy, lack of clarity, because you're basically being sucked by vampires, sucked by
Sure.
another entity. So it's important to be careful and to learn to read these wonderful books that are available. Michael Harner wrote two books that are very interesting about how the spirit world works.
Yeah, well, I
So
can tell you one
before,
thing. There are a ton of energy vampires out there that are still living. I can tell you that.
yeah,
In the same way that you kind of navigate your day with those individuals, I feel like, you kind of have to have it in the back of your mind. Like, I mean, that something similar could be, making an attachment or doing the same thing to you in the unseen world, right? I mean,
yeah,
I agree
absolutely.
with you. I think there are lost souls that make attachments. I feel like there has been a lot of evidence of that, just in recent years and through mediumship and some of the evidence that is brought through that. But ultimately, again, going back to our first point, it's up to you for like true self-realization, like true growth, true development. If you're doing those things and activities, which I've done, like I'm not pointing fingers. I've done everything, all of it, right? And it has kept me at a lower vibration, a lower consciousness to where I am more susceptible to those energies, right? But the more that you do the work on yourself, the more that more clean diet, cut back on the drinking, alcohol, smoking, whatever, like you start to grow, evolve as consciousness. So you start to open yourself up to more of those higher vibes, those higher vibrations, opening the aperture more of consciousness to allow more information, more knowledge to be, accessible to you. Your body
Absolutely.
changes. I mean, you can heal a lot faster than what you
Yeah.
used to be able to. And then more growth, more opportunities for knowledge. I mean, all of that is related and correlated. It's just like, what are you doing in your life right now, to be susceptible to that, right? Like, I get it. It's not
It
easy.
takes courage.
Sure, it
It
takes a lot
takes
of courage.
courage because
100%.
it's so much easier when you feel uncomfortable to put on the TV or to drink, a beer or to talk on the phone or to look at your Instagram feed. But it takes courage to stay on that path
Sure. It takes
because
discipline, a lot of discipline,
discipline.
because everyone's
Yes.
fighting for your attention. Everything is
Yes.
fighting for your attention. How do you take your attention back? Like, go
Yeah.
into meditation.
Yeah.
And the way that we evolve, like we can barely do anything for 4 seconds, right? Like, I mean, as far as like our
Yeah.
focus and our attention, but like to go deep within, it all starts within, right? Everybody says that. For a
Yeah.
long time, I
And
never really understood that.
the
Yeah.
younger people, I feel for them because the young people, they're just so used to this phone. They've lost in
Connection.
touch with nature. I mean,
Sure.
I always tell everybody two things. First of all, do nothing for a second of your day. Just contemplate nature. Look at a leaf. And the other thing that I always tell people, because of course I've gotten that message to share this, is to eye gaze. So, eye gazing is a very powerful exercise. You go in front of a mirror and you go very close to your eyes, no glasses, nothing. Doesn't matter if you're, like me that can't see, and you gaze into your eyes and you say hello to yourself and you spend some time, and it's really powerful. It's really hard to do because we don't look at our eyes, and our eyes are like the entrance to our soul. They have a lot to connect. They're
Have
they're
you've
really
done
good.
that? You've done eye
Ye-
gazing?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All
I
the
find
time.
it's very similar to what Plato and the ancient Greeks called scrying, which is like gazing into
Into a
like,
crystal.
yeah. And then like they were able to see into the, it kind of lifted the veil for them and they were able to see into the other
Mm.
world. Like,
But eye
well,
gazing is different. Eye gazing, you're connecting with yourself. You're not crossing the veil. You're really saying hello to yourself. And try it. It's really powerful. At the beginning, it's hard to do even 1 minute. Then, you can start like getting used to it. But just to say, hi, you know,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
this is a new day for us. You're in partnership. You get
sure.
inside your eyes, you get inside that soul, and you realize a lot of things. Eye gazing, it's a very
I'm gonna
ancient,
try it
even
out.
yeah, in Egypt, I saw some I went to Egypt a year ago and I saw a beautiful, beautiful sculpture of two women eye gazing. And it was like they were exactly the same. So to me, it showed like a mirror, they were not like two different persons. And yeah, eye gazing is a very incredible, simple tool. We all have a mirror.
I know I have two girls, and yes, I have a ton of mirrors in my house. Do you feel up to like maybe channeling for, I don't know, 10 minutes or
Sure.
so?
Yes, absolutely. What questions do you want to ask? Do you have anything set
Some deep,
up?
deep questions, Sandra. I think your book has a lot of some pretty good questions that I have thought many a times, in my path, on my path, just basically like what is the nature of the human? Like, what is it? What is our purpose? Um, you know, are we, I don't know. Recently, I've been, just kind of really fascinated with the idea of like self-liberation. Like, is there something holding us back from that, right? Like, there's a lot of simulation theory, there's a lot of hypotheses regarding that this is a virtual reality. And if it is, right, is there a creator and how is it programmed for our self-liberation? Like, how do we achieve that? Like, how do we, I think it's kind of a little bit of what we've been talking about already, but like just to hear from the Council of AR, like if there's any specific instructions on, is there artifacts or components or protocols that we can implement into our daily lives to help us reach that self-realization?
Yes. Hello. It is so simple. It is all about the ability to connect to source. How much of your willingness to connect is available to you at this moment in time? So you have free will at all times. We cannot push you in a direction, but we can offer you the possibility of a full connection. And such a connection is your liberation. And it is your tool. It is already in your essence. You are already made perfect. There's nothing from the outside that you could bring in to your essence to make that essence better. You have been made complete. Are you complete today? Probably not, because of loss of soul. Loss of soul is gradual. Every day, starting your life as a child and having parents tell you, do this, don't do this, don't eat like this, eat like that. It makes your inner soul a bit confused. And because there's a connection with your parents that is so lovable, you trust the first people you trust in your life are your parents. Then it becomes your teachers. Then it becomes your friends. And so the soul comes inside a vessel with full power. Full power. Just look at a newborn baby, how powerful that smile is, how much clarity. It's uncomfortable, it cries. It's happy, it laughs. And then you grow into this perception of good and bad. And by the time you are a teenager, you have friends and you get bullied, and all these outer circumstances happen in your life that remove part of your soul. You get soul loss. That is why we talk about making the soul strong, to regain the full potential of your soul. And then once you have regained that, everything is attainable. The flow is there, the creativity. We're not saying that you will not encounter problems or difficulties. That could not exist because you are living by your choice on planet Earth, which is a very dense planet. You could have made a choice to live in a different planet, but in this incarnation, you wanted to experience planet Earth's density. And all of that was implemented correctly so that your connection with that potential, with the life force, is going to be always your nutrition for the soul. As you well said, when you disconnect from that source and start living more on the outside than on the inside, then every time the connection is harder to regain because it's like a radio station. You have to tune it up again to a level that it is pure. Think of it as a cord, as a golden cord that amplifies to this whole universe, as if you had like a funnel, I think you would imagine, like an openness to this entire universe that has all the answers, that has all the higher intelligence, that you can bring back that information. But it takes you to connect from the heart. The brain is the computer to help you process everything, but the heart connects. Is that clear, or would you like more clarification?
How do we how do we sit in the heart more?
How do you connect? It depends who you are. You're not all made the same. You are billions of cells, millions of people around the planet. Each has a different, unique essence. So what is your heart's desire? Do you like music? Do you like movement? Those likes are innate to your own essence. Not everybody will connect in the same way. Some of you connect only through movement, through walking, through dancing, through sports, through swimming. Some of you connect through silence and rigidness, allowing. Some of you can work and listen to music at the same time, and some of you cannot concentrate if the music is in the background. You see how different you all are? So to connect to the heart, the most important part of your self is the fact that you need the breath to stay alive. Try to stop the breath for a few minutes. You'll go black and blue and pass out. So you need that breath. So use that breath that is your connection to life force. Use that simple breaths and just bring it in consciously to the heart and allow your body to accept it. It's almost like you need to allow in your body that energy because the breath contains life force. And the heart connects to all your cells. So it is just conscious breathing, as simple as that. Everything was perfectly made for human beings to have an existence on this paradise planet Earth. Every creation, not only you, the animals, the birds, they all come wired perfectly, just as you are. So it is about remembrance. What you mentioned about remembrance is so important, to allow yourself to remember who you really are as a being, not as a personality. We want to make that difference. Sometimes when only the brain is activated, the remembrance feels like you want to remember all your past lives and you want to remember what you're capable of doing. Well, we're telling you to feel it, not so much to remember it as thoughts. You need to bring it down to the feeling. Like if you wore a sweater or a jacket one day, and your friend said, "Hey, why are you wearing that sweater or that jacket?" And you just answer, "Because it makes me feel good." Then that's it. If you said, "Oh, because I look good," then they could answer, "No, you don't." But if you are so capable of feeling, you become a feeling machine and you just know you feel good, then that's completion.
You said earlier we come here to experience the density of this reality. Is that it? Like just to feel the density of it, or is there a purpose to that, I guess?
Yeah, the density is not to feel the density. So the density is there. That's your challenge. Planet Earth is incredibly dense as a planet. There's other planets where the laws of that planet are different. Planet Earth has its set laws, and it is a dense place, but you did not come to feel that density. You came, the purpose of a soul to come and do this effort, this courageous effort to come into an incarnation, because we acknowledge that it takes so much courage for a human being to live a life, because there's so much density, so much complexity in a human being's life. There is pain, there is anger, there is emotions. It's the planet of emotion, planet Earth. And for you to find that liberation is your own internal war where you succeed in that war. The war is presented to you as the possibilities of all these difficulties come left and right? Every day, new possibilities of something that seems difficult, like a war. But you, by connecting to the universal creative intelligence, you can access clarity on how to solve a problem by connecting. Have you found that in meditation, if you give yourself 5-10 minutes to just be still, and you did have an issue before, and then once you're done with your meditation, you have an idea of how to solve that problem. You found the solution not by thinking about the problem, but by just allowing, just receiving connection. So that proves to you that everything you do every single day can be solved, improved, and readjusted, put into its right place through the connection. Like you get a lot of drama. He said, she said, the family drama, the friends drama, the work drama. Oh, they hate me, this, that. Okay, so that is the problem of the day. Every day will bring a different challenge. And that particular day, that was the challenge. So you go back into the breath, you take a moment and you connect again and you ask, what am I learning? What is the medicine that this problem brings me? Because there's always something good in something bad. And when we talk medicine is because we talk about something that will help you. So what is the medicine that this problem, that this hatred that I'm being thrown at? And then the heart gets still, and suddenly you get a vision, a feeling that the medicine was just for you to understand more and to be more yourself. And if you don't become liked by somebody because you're reaching places inside of you where you're finding more of your power, then that's their problem, not your problem. So you allow yourself to expand and to amplify that connection. It's all in the connection. There are days where you think that, oh my God, this is too intense. I could just check out now. People that have depression think about death all the time because their bodies are tired of the struggle. But that depression came in your life for a reason, because in this incarnation, in this contract that you created for your own soul, you included the challenge of depression. So what are you going to do with that challenge that you included? Because everything that happens to you, you have offered that to your soul before coming as a challenge. So we're giving you the simplest modalities, and there's only one that we believe that is the modality that can truly help each one of you, which is to connect to source, to connect to the universe. That's why we connect every day now through Sandra. We decided that human beings need connection and healing. Yes, there's healings. I have a headache, I have a knee pain, I feel anxiety and all that. That's your challenges. But we decided to come and open a portal every single day at the same time for a few minutes through Sandra. She connects with us shamanically. This portal is opened. We named it Crystal Clear Healing Energy that you can connect to. And every day for 15 minutes, the universal life force is opening a portal of energy at the same time for the entire universe, for all the human beings in existence at the same time, so that we're trying to train you to take a time in your day to connect to source. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Do it. It changes your day.
Thank you for taking the time, or thank you for coming down to our time and space in this reality.
We are
You've said it so
always,
perfectly.
we are always here. We want you to listen to the heart. The heart will tell you, the heart will connect you to this energy every single moment of your day. If you want to do it through prayer, do it through prayer. If you want to do it, access it through toning, through through toning, through singing, through movement, through swimming, through painting, through cooking. It doesn't matter, or through silence. We are always, always available.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Sandra, this has been
It's
amazing.
always the same message, no matter which direction. I've noticed I laugh because we, you know, we have this brain that puts up all these different questions, and at the end, that connection is always what
Sure.
we need the most.
How can people connect with you? How can they find out more about your crystal clear healing or crystal clear joy? What's your website? How can they buy the book?
Sure. The book is on Amazon, Crystal Clear Joy. My website is called loveacrystal.com, loveacrystal.com. And the daily healing that they were talking about, it's very powerful right now. I just started doing it about a month ago, and there's more and more people subscribing, and the circle is getting bigger. And that also amplifies the fact that you and I can be in a different continent and we're connected at the same time is amplifying that connection because we are one. What affects you affects me. When you get to connect, I get to connect.
Sure. Sandra, thank
You
you so
know?
much for taking the time. This has been beautiful.
Oh, let's do more soon. It's such a beautiful subject, and we all need to connect. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Trey. You're such an amazing person to talk with. I have to tell you that you have the most